Hi, it's Lisa, and I'm ready to teach you how to do the feather stitch. But first I want to explain it to you on paper so you can kind of wrap your mind around how the stitch really works first before you start stitching it. Alright, for the feather stitch, what you usually do is you always start with a line. So even if you're doing a leaf, you always think of like the center, and that would be your line where you're going to place your feather stitches. So relative to the line, when you do the stitches, you're kind of doing little U's, and one of the U's is completely to the left of the line, and then the next straddles the line. Completely to the left, straddles, completely to the left. So if you can wrap your mind around this, that's half the battle on how the stitch is completed. Like this. And then if it would take a little, like say this leaf came out like this and went like this, you would just do the same thing. And then where these collided in here, you would just figure it out. Nothing is ever perfect, so don't sweat that stuff. Okay, so now let's stitch. Alright, one of the things that I want to point out before we get started is this is our feather stitch here, and they just add little extra details to your leaves and the other shapes that you might want to use those on. And I'm going to be using the 22 chenille needle and then the 8 weight thread. I already have a piece cut here. So I thread the needle by placing the eye of the needle directly on top of the thread, and I push down and roll my finger, and the thread loops right in there to a quilter's knot at the end, and then I'm ready to start doing the feather stitch. Now just for demonstration purposes, I did draw a line here. Sometimes you will have a line, sometimes you won't, but it's completely up to you how you do it. So I'm going to start, this loop now is going to go completely on the left side of my line, or my imaginary line, or however you want to. I'm going to come up and I'm going to swing around, and I'm going to put my needle about 1/4 of an inch over, and then I'm going to swing it to the middle between these two stitches, and that's how I'm going to complete that first U. I don't pull it too tight because I want them to be U's. If I pull it really tight, it's going to form a V. So now my next needle, I'm up here, so I want to go across, and I'm going to go to the line. And by hanging onto this thread here, it's always going to keep the thread over the needle. So there, I've completed the second stitch. Now my thumb goes on it to hold the tension, and I'm going to do like this underswing, and I'm going to place my needle again 1/4 of an inch away, but halfway to the line, over the thread. The needle's going over the thread, and again that completes the stitch. Now I have a cute way for you to remember how to do this, and it's kind of funny, so don't laugh. So now this is a shoulder, you're going to make the next shoulder, and then you're going to come out where the belly is. So if you can remember shoulder, shoulder, belly, that's how it goes. So here's one shoulder, now you need another shoulder, and you're going to come out where the belly is. And everything is relative to each other, like the same distance. I don't know how to explain that, but that's the best I can do that. And remember, when you're stitching, try not to pull everything so tight. Be relaxed. Underswing. See how I hold that needle pointing? Shoulder, shoulder, belly. Swing this way. Shoulder, shoulder, belly. Shoulder, shoulder, belly. Shoulder, shoulder, belly. Now when you'd end, you'd just go straight down here. Flip to the back, and then how I end stitches is I go and I grab a little bit of that thread, and I'll make a loop, and I'll go through the loop once, and I'll go through twice, and then that pulls it tight, and then I clip it. And then when you start over again, I always like to show you how to stop and how to start. You come up right where you went down, but on top. And then you keep going now. So now that becomes your shoulder, shoulder, and then your belly. Shoulder, shoulder, belly. On one of my retreats, a lady named Sally taught me how to do shoulder, shoulder, belly. So I always credited her with this little tip, and I think it helps because it's kind of weird, so you won't forget it. And then again, and so that's how we're going to do your feather stitch.